Hello guys, in this lecture we are going to see the comparison of AC and DC transmission on the basis of technical performance and reliability. Technical performance. The DC transmission has some positive features which are lacking in AC transmission. These are mainly due to the fast controllability of power in DC lines through converter control. The advantages are full control over power transmitted. Second, the ability to enhance transient and small signal stability in associated AC networks. And third, fast control to limit fault currents in DC lines. This means it feasible to avoid DC breakers in two terminal DC lines. In addition, the DC transmission overcomes some of the problems of AC transmission. These are as below. First is stability limit. The power transfer in AC lines is dependent on the angle difference between voltage phasors at two ends. For a given power level, this angle increases with distance. The maximum power transfer is limited by the considerations of steady state and transient stability. This figure shows the power carrying capacity of AC lines as a function of distance. You can observe that as the distance increases for the AC system or AC network, the as distance increases, power going to decrease. But for DC, it is to be with the shown with the dotted line. It means as the distance increases, the power for DC networks nearly about to constant. The same figure also shows the power carrying capability of DC lines which is unaffected by the distance of transmission, and it is limited only by current carrying capacity of the conductor, which is termed as thermal limit. Next is voltage control. The voltage control in AC lines is complicated by the line charging and inductive voltage drops. The voltage profile in AC line is relatively flat only for fixed level of power transfer corresponding to surge impedance loading. The voltage profile varies with the line loading. For constant voltage at the line terminals, the midpoint voltage is reduced for line loading higher than surge impedance loading and increased for loading less than surge impedance loading. The same thing is shown in this figure. The maintenance of constant voltage at the two ends requires reactive power control from inductive to capacitive as the line loading is increased. The reactive power requirements increase with the increase in the line length. Although DC converter stations with line commutated converters require reactive power related to the line loadings. The line itself does not require reactive power. The steady state charging current in AC lines pose serious problems in cables. This puts this puts the break-even distance for cable transmission around 40 kilometers. Next is line compensation. For reasons mentioned earlier, AC lines require shunt and series compensation in long distance transmission, mainly to overcome the problems of line charging and stability limitations. Series capacitors and shunt inductors are used for this purpose. The increase in power transfer and voltage control is also possible through the use of shunt connected static VR compensator, that is nothing but SVC. In AC cable transmission, it is necessary to provide shunt compensation at regular intervals. This is a serious problem in underwater cables. And the next is problems of AC interconnection. When two power systems are connected through AC ties, that is synchronous interconnection, then the automatic generation control of both systems have to be coordinated using tie line power and frequency signals. Even with coordinated control of interconnected systems, the operation of AC ties can be problematic due to few reasons that are nothing but: first is presence of large power oscillations which can lead to frequent tripping. Second, increase in fault levels. And third is transmission of disturbances from one system to the other. The controllability of power flow in DC lines eliminates all the above problems. In addition, for asynchronous DC ties, there is no need of coordinated control. It is obvious that two systems which have different nominal frequencies cannot be interconnected directly with AC ties and require the use of DC links. Next is ground impedance. In AC transmission, the existence of ground, that is zero sequence currents, cannot be permitted in steady state due to high magnitude of ground impedance, which will not only affect efficient power transfer but also result in telephone interference. The ground impedance is negligible for DC currents, and a DC link can operate using one conductor with ground return. That is nothing but monopolar operation. The ground return is objectionable only when buried metallic structures such as pipes are present and that are subject to corrosion with DC current flow. It is to be noted that even while operating in monopolar mode, the AC network feeding the DC converter station operates with balanced voltage and currents. Hence, single pole operation of DC transmission system is possible for extended periods, while in AC transmission, single phase operation or any unbalanced operation is not feasible for more than a second. Let's see the disadvantage of DC transmission. First is difficulty of breaking DC currents, which results in high cost of DC breakers. Second, inability to use transformers to change voltage levels. Third, high cost of conversion equipment. Fourth, generation of harmonics which require AC and DC filters, adding to cost of converter stations. Next one, complexity of control. Over the years, there have been significant advances in DC technology which have tried to overcome the disadvantages as listed above, except second disadvantage, that is inability to use transformer to change voltage level. Except this one, we can overcome this advantage by the modification as development of DC breakers, modular construction of thyristor valves, increase in rating of thyristor cells that make up a valve, and the next one, 12 pulse operation of converter. Next, use of metal oxide and gapless arresters. And the last one, application of digital electronics and fiber optics in control of converters. Some of above advances have resulted in improving the reliability and reduction of conversion cost in DC systems. It can be said without X aggregation that complexity of control does not pose a problem, and it can actually be used to provide reliable and fast control of power transmission, not only under normal conditions but also under abnormal conditions such as line and converter faults. This has removed the need for DC current interruption in two terminal links. Even for multi-terminal operation, the requirements of current rating of DC breakers are modest due to effective converter control. Next is reliability. The reliability of DC transmission system is quite good and comparable to that of AC system. An exhaustive record of existing HVDC links in the world is available, from which the reliability statistics can be computed. It must be remembered that the performance of thyristor valve is much more reliable than mercury arc valves, and further developments in devices, control and protection have improved the reliability level. For example, the development of direct light triggered thyristor, that is LTT, development of direct light triggered thyristors, that is designated as LTT, can improve the reliability because of elimination of high voltage pulse transformers and auxiliary supplies for turning on the devices. There are two measures of overall system reliability, and the first is energy availability. Energy availability is defined as energy availability is equal to 100 into 1 minus equivalent outage time divided by total time. It will get in percentage, where equivalent outage time is the product of actual outage time and fraction of system capacity lost due to outage. And the next is transient reliability. This is factor specifying the performance of HVDC systems during recordable faults on the associated AC systems, and it can be defined as transient reliability is equal to 100 into number of times HVDC system perform divided by number of recordable AC faults. Recordable AC system faults are those faults which cause one or more AC bus phase voltages to drop below 90% of voltage prior to the fault. It is assumed that the short circuit level after the fault is not below the minimum specified for satisfactory converter operation. The energy availability or transient reliability of existing DC systems with thyristor walls is 90%, 95% or more. The average failure rate of thyristors in a wall is less than 0.6% per operating year. It is common practice to provide redundant thyristors in the series string composing a HVDC wall so that failed thyristors can be replaced during the scheduled maintenance period. The maintenance of thyristor wall is also much simpler than the earlier mercury arc walls. Some of the HVDC outage statistics is given in this table. In comparing the reliability of various alternatives, it must be kept in mind that bipolar DC line can be reliable as a double circuit AC line with same power capability. This is because of the fact that failure of one pole does not affect the operation of other pole with ground return. If the DC line conductor has adequate overload rating and if the converter on the failed pole can be paralleled with the converters on healthy pole, the pre-fault power level can be maintained even with the permanent outage of one pole. Thank you very much. Thank you.